Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michelle Fonda and I'm the author of the new book, Twin Flame Romance, The Journey to Unconditional Love, available now in paperback, Kindle, and Audible books. And if you're currently reading Twin Flame Romance and would like to leave a review on Amazon, that is much appreciated. Go ahead and take a screenshot once that review is up. Email me at michellefondinauthor@gmail.com and I will give to you an Audible copy of Chakra Healing for Vibrant Energy, exploring your 7 energy centers with mindfulness, yoga, and Ayurveda. Again, welcome to my channel, you guys. If you are new, please click on the subscribe button below, hit the bell for notifications, give the video a thumbs up, and share with your friends. For those of you that are interested in a twin flame reading, this is Thanksgiving week. If you're watching this during Thanksgiving week, and I am doing readings on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday of this week. You can, again, email me at michellefondinauthor@gmail.com. Again, welcome to all of you twin flames and those of you who believe you might be twin flames but are not quite sure yet. So the video today really came to me because I am getting a lot of newly awakened twin flames that are actually reaching out to me and they are wondering if they are crazy. So I made this video to really help not only the new people that are awakening to the twin flame journey, welcome, but also those of you, there is a certain portion of this twin flame collective that have been in total separation from their twin flame with little to no communication. That is a big portion of this collective. So for you, for the newly awakened twin flames, and for those of you that have been without communication from your divine masculine, if you are divine feminine, I am just putting this out to give you guys hope that this is actually real and you're not imagining things. So the title for this video is Twin Flames or Soulmates. Twin flames, it's effing real. You are not insane. I really needed to put that out there today. And I really needed to put that out there because this journey makes you think many times that you are going insane. This journey really creates a lot of anxiety around whether or not what you are experiencing is real. And it can feel really unhealthy. It can feel like an obsession. It can feel like you're going a little bit nuts. And I want to let you guys know that it is effing real. So I'm going to illustrate some examples for you. Now, I have the added benefit, not only am I on a twin flame journey, and for those of you that have been introduced to my channel, a lot of you were introduced to my channel through a little video I produced called 14 Signs that you are a twin flame or that you're in a twin flame connection or journey. And I'll put the link below as well if you have not yet viewed that video, which I believe that most of you have who have been introduced to my YouTube channel. But that video, and I've mentioned this before, that video, those 14 signs, only came from my own experience. When I was introduced to the concept of twin flames, I did do some research as far as other videos with other signs, but I really felt like if I was going to produce a video about that all of the signs had to come from me, meaning like it had to come from my direct experience, that I really couldn't talk about or write about anything that I did not experience and have not yet experienced. So there you go. But this video more or less came to me because of the experience that you guys have written to me. So I have the added benefit of having those of you who write in the comment section as well as those who email me and those who I read for and coach. Now it's really interesting because I have been getting a lot of emails recently from those who are newer on this journey and really confused as to whether or not this is actually real. Let's just go over really quickly twin flames versus soulmates. And I have produced a video as well that talks about labels, and I do write that in my book that, you know, honestly, labels really don't matter. The only differentiation is that because a lot of the twin flame experience happens in the spiritual realm, or in the what we call the 5D, the fifth dimension. So because of a lot of the twin flame experience comes in the fifth dimension or the spiritual realm, that's where the confusion can set in. So that is where a lot of people think that they're going crazy, that they're having a mental breakdown, that they have a mental illness that's been undiagnosed. The difference between soulmate and twin flame is that the added extra stuff of twin flame is all of this experience that you're experiencing in the 5D. Now, there are other things as well, but I just wanted to like pinpoint that that's one main difference. Now, that's not to say that soulmates cannot communicate telepathically, because I had a soulmate with whom I did communicate telepathically. It did happen. We were that close that it actually happened. And he was also very psychic. That was pretty easy on that front. And the other thing with soulmates is that while there is a lot of same recognition, like when you meet a soulmate, it's super easy in the sense that you really feel like you've met them before. You feel like you've known them in a past life or this lifetime, or you've met them before. It feels very familiar. With a soulmate, it feels like you can talk for hours and hours and hours and hours, and just time flies no matter what. And you really feel this sense of true connectedness with a soulmate. The difference with a soulmate, though, is that a lot of times with a soulmate, you have a lot of karma to work out with your soulmate. And so while the connection is really easy, a lot of times there are some really major things that do need to be worked out together. And in that instance, though, is that when you separate from a soulmate, yeah, it's painful, but it's like okay. It kind of feels like when it's time to separate from a soulmate, it feels almost natural. It feels like it's almost like the next step in life is coming forth for you. When you're in a soulmate relationship, you've had a great time, you've really connected, you feel really close to your soulmate, you feel great. But when there's that separation, when you guys decide to kind of go your separate ways, even if there are a couple times where you come back together and go your separate ways, it generally just feels like it's time. It just generally feels like, the break is kind of natural. It's kind of like a time where both of you are ready to explore other horizons and maybe step into a new phase of your growth. So when you separate from a soulmate, it's kind of like, yeah, this is kind of necessary. Like we kind of need to separate to just go on our own separate paths because we appreciate what we've learned together. That is the difference, because with a twin flame, when you separate, it does not feel natural. It feels very painful. It feels awful. And it's almost this pull, like the more you separate, the worse it actually feels. And the more you try to forget them, the less you can forget them, if you will. So, and because of that fifth dimension connection as well, things will happen. Like, as you really try to separate from your twin, the dreams will become more profound. Your twin will show up in your dreams a lot more with some poignant statements to say to you. There will be increased sexual dreams about your twin. There will be increased conversations with your twin in the 5D. No matter how hard you try with a twin flame, it's not like you can just say, okay, goodbye, we're going to go off on our merry way now, and thank you for the lessons that I've learned with you, and I really appreciate our connection, but it's just time for me to take that next step and go to the next phase in my life. That's not the way it goes down. And so for those of you that have been writing to me of late, that is actually what's been happening with you, is that you met this person, you didn't know what it was, and you had this instantaneous connection, very much like a soulmate connection. You had this very instantaneous connection, and then all of a sudden, something happened on either part. It could have been you, if you're a divine masculine running, or it could be the divine feminine pushing you away or doing something that upset you if you're divine masculine, again, or vice versa. It could be the divine masculine did something to upset the divine feminine, or it was like a separation because it was necessary. So, but then after that, what leaves you reeling is that you don't understand it. You don't understand why you cannot let go of this person. So I'm just going to backtrack, and I don't tell, for those of you that are new to my channel, I don't tell a whole lot of my story because of protecting my twin, and also just out of respect for him, because if he wants to tell our story online in front of YouTube land or wherever, that is his prerogative, but I'm not going to reveal that story because it's ours and it's sacred, and because he is not sitting here right with me in front of the camera. So I will only tell our story if he's sitting here or if he decides to tell me, yes, go ahead and tell our story. Other than that, I keep it pretty well sealed. But I can talk about timelines. That I can talk about because only he and I know the timelines. Nobody else knows the timelines but us. I can just talk about timelines and just kind of explaining to you me remembering where I was when I thought I must be going insane. And I think that's at a point where you guys have been at the beginning of the journey, and also where many of you might be now that separation for many of you has been ongoing. And it could be like 5 months of total separation, 8 months of total separation, a year of total separation, where you have not had contact with your twin, or very minimal to no contact with your twin, and or you guys have been broken up, so there is no romantic connection anymore for you guys. And so when you reach that point where you've been in separation, total separation from your twin for, like I said, anywhere from 6 to 12 months, as an example, you can start to feel that craziness again. You can start to feel like, maybe I just made this all up. Maybe I'm totally insane. Maybe I'm just living in my head. Maybe I'm living in my fantasy world. Maybe none of this was real, and none of it is real. And that's really what I feel that many of you who have reached this point of total separation and just no communication from your twin, you're kind of feeling right now like I must be insane. Like I must be insane, and this must not be real. It must be a total fantasy, because I've been waiting all this time and doing my inner work and everything, and nothing is moving, nothing is happening. I'm going to backtrack to remind you guys where you were at the beginning. And for those of you that are at the beginning, I'm going to just give you my timeline to help you to understand what this is, to help you understand that it's not just a fabrication of your own mind, that it's not just some fantasy you're having or some kind of obsession that you're having, that it actually is real. It is real. And even though it's so hard to wrap your brain around, even though that it's so hard to put into words what you're feeling inside, because believe me, I know it's so hard to put into words what you're feeling inside, that it can really feel like you're going totally crazy and feel like you're just living in an alternate dimension, kind of, because you're like, there's no way this is real. Backtracking my story. My twin and I met in September 2018. We had our activation on October 15th, and I only know this because of messaging back and forth. So I just know this. So October 15, and also I wrote it down. October 15th, 2018 was when we had our activation. When I say activation, means that we had a conversation during which we were both activated. How do I know this? Because I saw in his eyes, and it freaked me out at the time, but I saw in his eyes that his eyes mirrored back to me that basically said, you're the person I'm going to marry. And I freaked out completely because I was like, what? And my heart felt it. Like my heart felt the same thing, but I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was. Later that evening, it was confirmed to me. It was confirmed. And a lot of you know that are out there in YouTube land, a lot of you know that I'm psychic, and a lot of you know that I receive angel messages, so that are pretty darn clear. And it was crystal clear on that date. So crystal clear, even though I didn't understand it. I didn't understand any of it. So I thought, okay, I've met this person, or I've gotten to know this person a little bit better. And I could just see in his eyes that he knew, even though he probably couldn't verbalize it, but in his eyes, I could see that he knew that I was the person he was going to marry. And later that night, like I said, it was confirmed for me that I was going to marry him. I knew it. We had a short amount of time that we were together, and it ended about the end of November 2018, so about a year ago, at which point he said to me that he did not want a romantic relationship at all, or anymore, I guess. And I was I wasn't blindsided because I kind of saw it coming, meaning I saw him pulling away and I didn't understand why he was pulling away when we had such an amazing connection. We had this amazing connection, and we still do, obviously, but we had this amazing connection at the time, and I couldn't understand why he was pulling away. I really didn't know. I thought there might be a reason, but I really felt that the reason that I thought it wasn't reason enough to pull away from an amazing connection that we had. End of November 2018, I was super disappointed, and I was starting to go a little crazy because when I would see him, and he said no more like romantic connection between us, when I would see him and look into his eyes were clearly saying to me romantic connection, but his words totally different. So there was this incongruence between the way he was looking at me and like even his body language toward me and like what he was saying. And it was just confusing as all get out to me. Fast forward to end of November to beginning of December of 2018. I had told my sister a little bit about what this past 6 weeks from mid-October to the end of November was and what was happening. And she said, you know, everything that you're telling me, that sounds like a twin flame connection. And at that point, I had no idea what it was. And I just said, you know, she goes like, here's a couple of websites you can check out, and here are a couple of videos you can check out. Why don't you do some research? And I said, okay. So I remember it was December 5th, right after my birthday, when in earnest I was doing research. I kind of looked some stuff up and I said, yeah, I mean, that sounds like it could be it. It sounds plausible. But for me, honestly, it was like, I thought at the end of November when he said no more, that's it, I thought, I'm just going to move on. I can just move on. Like, it sucks. I want to be with this person, but he doesn't want it. So I just need to move on. And as the days went on, the more I tried to move on, the less I could move on. And just feeling that wanting to move on, but not being able to move on, it takes me to where you guys are at right now. So those of you that have been on this twin flame journey for a very short duration of time, from many of you, I'm hearing in the stories, emails, readings, I'm hearing around May to June of 2019. So kind of like a next wave that's coming through, because for many of us on this journey, we were awakened around August and September of 2018. Now I'm hearing a newer wave coming through that they were starting to be awakened around May or June of 2019, going through this crazy stuff of twin flames, and then in separation in September, October, or this month. And now all these things are coming out where they're just like, I don't understand this. What the heck is this? Is this even real? What I want you guys to do who have been on the journey for more than that time, a year, 2 years, I want you guys just to remember that breaking point, the point at which your twin told you, no more romance, I don't want to be in this relationship with you anymore, I don't want to be with you anymore, and you trying to get over them and not being able to separate yourself from them at all. And that's when the craziness started, where there's like the intense dreams, there's the talking in the 5D, there's the feeling their presence, like all those things that I mentioned in my book and in other videos. And it's at that point in time that you really feel like you're going truly insane. And then for those of you that have been in separation for 6 to 12 months, as an example, think back to that point. Like, think back to that point where you started seeing all of the signs and going, holy crap, this is something different. This is something that I cannot let go of, and I don't know why. Why can't I let go of this? So the reason why I brought this up now for you guys, and especially for those of you that have been on the journey for a while, is that it touches my heart that I am hearing stories from people, and just listen carefully, you guys. Stop what you're doing. If you're doing emails or other things or cooking while you're listening to me, just stop for a moment. I want you to hear this. I really want you to hear this. I'm just a messenger on this journey, okay? I am just a messenger. It's really funny because if you look at the Bible and Bible stories, and everyone knows that I'm a Christian, so if you really go back to biblical stories, when you look at the prophets, when you look at the people that God chose to do his work, it's like they're just ordinary people. And for the most part, they're people that are greatly flawed. I mean, doing like so many bad things. They're just greatly flawed people. And God's picked them to be his spokespeople. And look at Moses, who, he actually grew up with the Pharaoh, had to turn his back on the Pharaoh. His brother actually became the Pharaoh, who was his adoptive brother, if you will, because Moses was Jewish. And so what happened was Moses did not speak well at all. He actually grew up with a stutter. He grew up with like a speech impediment, and he could not really speak that well. Not only did God tell him, go talk to your brother, the Pharaoh, and ask him to free my people, but then Moses also had to lead millions of other Jewish people into the promised land. Be a leader and a spokesperson. And he couldn't really speak. He had a speech impediment. He had a stutter. If you look at the story of Noah, who was asked to build the ark and take all these people and these animals and his family and save the world, if you will, save the world that he lived in, put him in this ark, build the ark and everything. And well, he had a drinking problem. And so it's just, God picks these people who are really just ordinary people who are really flawed, who can be his spokespeople. So just know that like I am not anything special. I'm not anything extraordinary. I'm just a normal person who has somehow been asked to do these videos. And the grander perspective that I have is because I talk to people from all around the world. And I have been for the last several months talking to people from all around the world, literally all around the world, you guys. I am not joking, all around the world, in every corner of the earth. I haven't talked to anyone from like the North Pole yet or Antarctica yet, but almost every corner of the earth. Okay, so listen, this is what I'm saying you need to listen to. These are people, different cultures, different primary languages, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different religions, different age ranges. Everything about them is different. Everything about them is completely and utterly different. Okay? And everybody is coming to me with basically the same story. And the same story goes, I just was living my life. I wasn't doing anything in particular. I was just going about my daily routine with my family, with my kids, with my spouse, whatever their story is, but I was just minding my own business. I wasn't doing anything. Then all of a sudden, this person comes into my life. And now I feel like I'm going insane. I did not ask for this. And then the story unfolds. And just day in and day out, I'm hearing these stories. Day in and day out, I'm hearing these stories of people who are just completely and utterly blindsided by this experience. Now, you could say, you could argue that, well, Michelle, we have the internet, everyone has access to the